continuing its up and down trade over the past few days. Chicago soy oil, European rapeseed, and Malaysian palm oil are all higher, providing support for the oilseed. Crude oil is also up with gains of more than $1 US per barrel. Canadian Labour Minister Steve McKinnon ordered Canadian National Railway to go to binding arbitration with their workers on Thursday, with operations to resume as soon as possible. The Canadian dollar is up more than 1/10 of a US cent compared to Thursday's close. The November canola contract is up $13 per ton at $578.50. In the US, wheat is steady to lower, while corn and soybeans are in the green. The Pro Farmer Crop Tour came to a close on Thursday, showing corn yields in Minnesota averaging 164.9 bushels per acre, lower than both last year's estimate and the 3-year average. On the flip side, Iowa averaged 192.79 bushels per acre, up from last year's estimate and the 3-year average. On Thursday morning, the U.S. Department of Agriculture reported 2 private export sales of U.S. corn, 132,000 tons of new crop to unknown destinations, and 110,490 tons more to Mexico. Ukraine's Ag Ministry reported 2.2 million tons of corn were exported so far in the first month and a half of the 2024-25 marketing year. Corn in France was rated at 76% good to excellent, according to France Agrimaire on August 19th, unchanged from the week before but down 6 points from last year. The December corn contract is up 1 US cent per bushel at $3.95. The Pro Farmer Crop Tour reported soybean pod counts in Minnesota to average 1,036.59 per 3x3 foot square, above last year's average and close to the 3-year average. In Iowa, the pod count averaged 1,312.31, up from both last year's average and the 3-year average. The USDA reported a private sale of 198,000 tons of new crop soybeans to China, with flash sales totaling 1.26 million tons this week. In addition, 105,000 tons of soy meal were also sold to Vietnam. The November soybean contract is up 9 US cents per bushel at $9.70. Rains over the past day and a half have halted harvesting progress in spring wheat growing areas of the U.S., with quality becoming a concern. Ukraine exported 3.1 million tons of wheat so far in the 2024-25 crop year, according to its ag ministry. France has completed its soft wheat harvest, expected to be its smallest crop since the 1980s. Rains in Argentina should improve the country's wheat crop, of which 6.3 million hectares were planted, according to the Buenos Aires Grain Exchange. The December Chicago wheat contract is unchanged at $5.36 US per bushel. The December Kansas City hard red wheat contract is down 2 US cents per bushel at $5.43. The December Minneapolis spring wheat contract is down 3 US cents per bushel at $5.81. That's a look at the ICE futures in U.S. markets for Friday, August 23rd. In Winnipeg for MarketsFarm.com, I'm Adam Polishati.
Put the unbeatable combination of power and utility to work with a New Holland Power Star Series tractor from Butler Farm Equipment in Fort St. John. In 5 models, from 65 to 100 PTO horsepower, a Power Star tractor handles jobs in the backfield, barnyard, and everywhere in between. Best-in-class cab visibility and outstanding comfort will increase your productivity. Choose the factory-installed loader that best matches your daily needs. Stop by Butler Farm Equipment in Fort St. John today.
The opinions expressed on this show do not represent those of the station. If you've missed any of the shows, you can follow the podcast at Energeticcity.ca. Welcome to This Week in the Peace, a show dedicated to the people, events, and news of BC's Peace region. Here's your hosts, Dub Craig and Steve Berard.
Good morning and welcome to the show. Later I'll be chatting with McLean Welsh of ABC Recycling and Kelly Amboe of the Fort St. John Hospital Foundation. ABC Recycling is started their summer scrap metal drive in support of the foundation recently, so we'll dig into how recycling your scrap metal can help you in the community.
But first, the United States Department of Commerce has made the decision to increase duties on softwood lumber, putting real strain on the British Columbia forestry industry. To help share some background on that decision and the ways it'll affect people like you, we're joined today by BC's Minister of Forest, Bruce Ralston. Bruce, thank you so much for making some time today.
Oh, great. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely, yeah. So first, for people who maybe aren't familiar, maybe they haven't been keeping up with the situation, can you give me some background on sort of how we got to this point, when the decision was made, what was done about it, and sort of how we got here?
The softwood lumber dispute has been a long simmering dispute between Canada and the United States for at least 30 years. And basically what the view of the American Department of Commerce and their what they call the Lumber Coalition is that exports and production in Canada, and in British Columbia in particular, is subsidized. And so they have a regime of tariffs to offset that. Now, the Canadian position, the British Columbia position, is that our industry is indeed not subsidized and does not create an unfair advantage. So, and back even 20 years ago, Premier Campbell devised a system of auctions, which really is very similar to a market system. So the prices are set by auction at a market price. So there is no subsidy. Nonetheless, it's to the economic advantage of the lumber producers to make it harder for Canadian lumber to get into the American market. That's an anti-competitive step. And in the process, they make more money, but they hurt their fellow Americans who are, if you want to buy a new house that's made out of wood, and that's pretty much the building standard in the States, you're going to pay thousands of dollars more to pay for these subsidies. So what the Americans did, the Department of Commerce has regular reviews. In the last review, they just a week ago, they raised the requirement that if you're going to sell into the States, it's gone from 8% to 14.5%. So, and you have to, the company, in order to get the lumber across the border, has to put up that amount in cash. So for some companies, it's okay. I mean, it's not good because it's an added cost. But for smaller companies, it makes it really tough because you may not be able to finance that. So we've certainly with the industry, and we're making strong representations to the federal government because this is a federal trade issue, and we are basically full-throated cry of unfair and a call for the federal government to raise this to the highest diplomatic level. Now, it's a bit tough with the American election being on, and it's November the 5th is the election day. So really what we're asking is get ready for a fight after the American election. And who knows in the American system who's going to win? So you have to be prepared for either side to win the election, and you need a series of strategies about how we're going to influence American lawmakers on this issue.
For sure, yeah, absolutely. Now, obviously, like you said, the American election, that's not until November. In the here and now, right. Forestry is a huge industry, especially here in the Peace. Tell me a bit about how this is going to affect the average resident here. What kinds of price increases could happen here?
It won't affect the domestic prices. I mean, if you're going down to the lumber store to buy some wood to build your deck or something like that, it won't affect local prices. But British Columbia exports, we're the main of the amount of exports that go into the United States from Canada. We're about 50% of them come from British Columbia. It's a huge industry. Now, if you're employed in that industry and market access is not, you can't sell into the States, then production falls, and then people get laid off, and profits fall, and companies get jammed. So it has a direct impact, although it takes a while to get into place. It has a direct impact on jobs and prosperity of communities like Fort St. John.
100%. And one of the other things that's obviously going to be affecting jobs and prosperity and the economy here in Fort St. John and the rest of the Peace and everywhere else is the rail strike. Can you do me a favor and tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, it's a fast-moving story because the federal minister of labor has used some provisions in the act to force arbitration. Although I noticed this morning the Teamsters have given a strike notice as well. So it's legally complicated. But for the BC lumber industry, 85% of exports go by rail, and there's not enough trucking capacity to fill that up. So the companies were anticipating that it was coming, so basically cleared out their log yards to some extent, and they can continue production and hopefully continue to fill the log yard while a settlement hopefully it takes shape. But it's another tough episode for the BC lumber industry.
Definitely, yeah. Now, tell me a bit about what the government is doing about this decision that came from the U.S. I saw in your statement yesterday there was some discussion about fighting the Department of Commerce's decision every step of the way. What does that look like?
Well, even though the American Department of Commerce has a laundry list of things that they say that are unfair, but when Canada goes to the independent tribunals that are set up under the trade agreements, for example, the World Trade Organization dispute mechanism, or what used to be called NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement. Now the new name is Canada, U.S., Mexico, CUSMA. There are dispute settlement mechanisms in those treaties. And when Canada and British Columbia get there, we almost always win. Notwithstanding the American Department of Commerce position, it's rarely supported in these independent tribunals. So that's where the challenge there is that it just takes literally years and years and years to work through the system. All the while, the tariff at the new elevated level will be in place and people will be required to pay it. They keep the funds on deposit, and it's now over $9 billion in deposits that have been paid by Canadian companies that if there is a settlement, much of that, one would hope, and that would be a subject of negotiation, would come back to Canadian companies. There was a settlement a number of years ago, and a lot of that money did come back. It was, I think, Prime Minister Harper, that was the Prime Minister at the time, made a deal. So that's the other side of a strong assertion and of the justice of our cause as Canadians, as British Columbians, and secondly, prepare for the possibility of negotiating some kind of a settlement. So far, notwithstanding the amount of money on deposit, the Americans haven't really been that interested. I think they're doing well and damping down Canadian competition in their American market to their satisfaction. So they're not overly worried about that.
For sure. Okay. So last question for today. If there's anything else you want to add, if there's a message that you could send to worried and concerned lumber business owners and lumber workers in the Peace region and beyond, what would you say to them right now?
Well, I would say that Premier Eby and I and the government are doing everything we can at every level to resolve this dispute. We have strong pressure on the federal government through both the industry and our government and other governments across the country, because this affects other provincial governments. And we're also asking the federal government to put in place a system to support industry as these tariffs ratchet up, because this may not be the end of it. They have another review in another 12 months, and they may ratchet it up again. So we're doing everything we can on this important issue, and it's vital for the BC economy. It's $11 billion of exports. It's a $9 billion payroll. So there's a lot at stake for British Columbians, our communities, our workers, and the unions that represent them. And we understand that, and we're doing everything we can to win this dispute.
Okay, perfect. I think we're just about running out of time. Is there anything else you want to add while we still have you here?
No, thanks. Just always great to talk to the folks in your region, and I hope they can be assured that we're fighting for them.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for your time today, Bruce. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a great day. That was Minister of Forests Bruce Ralston. We'll be right back with McLean, Welsh, and Kelly Amboe on This Week in the Peace.
RENTCO, Renco is the place to go. RENTCO, Renco.
There's still time to tackle all your summer projects with Renco. Whether you're laying concrete pads, pounding in fence posts, or cleaning up the yard, Renco can get the equipment you need fast. Rent it from Renco on 100th Street across from Fountain Tire, or visit rencoequipment.com.
RENTCO, Renco is the place to go. RENTCO, Renco.
Have your eyeglasses or sunglasses seen better days? Then it's time to visit Merwin Optical. Their expert advice can help you choose the right frames and lenses to help you look and see your best. Second sets are always half price and they have a huge variety of brands to choose from. Same-day sight testing is available for adults 19 to 64, and they can even fill your prescription from other optometry clinics. They direct bill to all major insurance companies and also provide 1-hour service on most prescriptions. Visit Merwin Optical on 101st Avenue, Facebook, and Instagram.
Where are the best spots to fish in northern BC?
What types of fish are in the area?
What kind of bait will help me catch a big one?
Fishing is a pretty popular pastime here in northern BC. Whether you're new to fishing or have been fishing for years, chances are you have some questions. Stop in and chat with the Backcountry team about rods, reels, bait, fishing gear, and the best spots to fish. Plus, get all the equipment and gear you need. Backcountry, where we help you enjoy the great outdoors. On Facebook and at backcountryfsj.com.
Mobile One Lube Express in Fort St. John is proud to serve this amazing community and proud to support our oil and gas industries.
See Mobile One Lube Express for oil changes, transmission fluid changes, touchless car wash, and more. Mobile One Lube Express,
a proud supporter of the oil and gas industries.
Rhythm Auctions and Moose FM are sending you and a guest to the CCMAs in Edmonton. Fill out the form on our website. Then tune in daily at 7:50 a.m., 12:20 p.m., and 4:40 p.m. If we call your name, call the Fort City Chrysler line before the next song ends to qualify for 2 tickets to the CCMAs on September 14th and a hotel stay. For more info, visit moosefm.ca/CCMA.
The Rhythm Auctions CCMA giveaway on Moose FM is brought to you by TNT Communications, Merwin Optical, Aris Energy, and Rhythm Auctions.
This summer, Moose FM is hitting the streets with a Fort City Chrysler Summer Cruiser to bring you the hottest happenings around the North Peace. Stay tuned to Moose FM and don't miss out on any of the excitement going on in our lively community. If you're hosting an event and you want the Fort City Chrysler Summer Cruiser to make an appearance, reach out today. Simply email us at reception@moosemediafsj.ca. This exciting summer tour is proudly supported by the Fort St. John Co-op, Home Hardware, Lake Point Golf and Country Club, Fort St. John Return It, Rhythm Auctions, and Dairy Queen. Don't forget to tune in and join the fun.
Get all geared up for your next outdoor adventure at backcountryfsj.com. No matter what kind of outdoor activities you've got lined up, shop Backcountry's online store for footwear, clothing, hunting and fishing gear, optics, sports gear, and so much more. Plus, Backcountry's online store will have new products added on a regular basis. Simply order online and choose to pick up in-store or have it delivered. Backcountry, where we help you enjoy the great outdoors. Shop online today at backcountryfsj.com.
Attention all Peace Region energy workers. Great Canadian Oil Change salutes your hard work and dedication to powering our communities. They know you depend on your vehicles to keep you going, so when it's time for service, trust Great Canadian Oil Change. They proudly accept all fleet cards, making it convenient for you to maintain your fleet on the go. Quick, no appointment service done in about 15 minutes. Now open across the highway from Safeway and Starbucks. Convenient, trusted, expert care. Now that's a Great Canadian Oil Change.
Moose Country weather.
Today, you can expect a high of 22 degrees with mainly sunny skies throughout the day. Later tonight, 10 degrees and cloudy, and tomorrow looks like we're going to have some showers throughout the morning. High of 17, and then on Sunday, high of 19 and sunny skies.
You can watch this show live on Facebook. Catch the replays at Energeticcity.ca or be part of the show by texting your thoughts to the Fort City Chrysler line at 250-787-2222.
Good day and welcome back to the show. I'm Dub Craig. Now I'm here to have a conversation about a great fundraiser that's going on. ABC Recycling wants your scrap metal. Why? Well, they want to raise $50,000 for the Fort St. John Hospital Foundation while fostering friendly competition among companies recycling their scrap metal. So to tell us all about how this works, we're joined now by McLean Welsh from ABC Recycling and Kelly Amboe from the Fort St. John Hospital Society. Both of you, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
I got to turn your mics on. That'll help. All right. Well, let's start with you, McLean. Tell us a bit about your business, if you can. I think I'm sure people who recycle scrap metal or have scrap metal all the time know what you do. But for those of us who don't, tell us a bit about, kind of what your story is.
So ABC's based out of Burnaby. We've been a family-owned company since 1912. So 4 generations now, and we've got 12 yards across BC, Alberta, and one just recent one in the States. So we buy all kinds of metal for recycling. We buy brass, copper, aluminum, steel, batteries, just about anything that's made of metal, we'll buy it. And we process it in our yards, and then we ship it out to markets in Canada, the US, and around the world. And, we pay for it at the yard. You can bring it in just with a driver's license and a vehicle, and if you got batteries in your garage or old pipe from a renovation, you bring it in, we pay for it, and then you can get some cash and haul it away. And if you bring it in on Fridays, we have free donuts.
Oh, well, that's a great day to recycle your scrap metal.
That's right. Friday's the day.
I've got a couple questions for you. I mean, this isn't like recycling your bottles where you're getting your deposit back, right? I assume you kind of weigh it, and then based upon what it is.
Yeah. So, there's different grades for everything you can imagine. There's different grades for each type of copper, brass, different grades of steel. Everything that comes in, we weigh it, and then it's paid on a per pound or a per ton basis. So for all the steel, it's by the ton, 2,000 pounds, and then for all the other stuff, it's by the pound.
I see. And then when you process it, do you melt it down into a cube that you then ship? Or
No, not quite. We're not quite that big, like a foundry. So we have large excavator shears. So it'd be like a Cat or a Volvo, and they've got a big head on them that's like a pair of scissors. And we cut through all the heavy steel with that. And then for all the non-ferrous, like the brass and copper and stuff, we'll downsize it a little bit and then package it in boxes or bales, and then it gets shipped out that way in a truck.
In a bale of scrap metal.
Yeah, we've got a baler, and they'll do, so they'll put a bunch of copper wire in it, and it crushes it all down, and we band it together, and you'll have a bale that weighs a ton. Yeah,
that's fascinating to me. Well, tell me a bit about just in general. You seem to do a lot of this sort of fundraising and kind of community initiatives in general, I think kind of across all your yards across BC. Why is that so important to you and to the company in general?
So, I mean, ABC's family owned for, over 100 years now. And for their whole business life, they've always tried to be really involved in the communities that they operate in. They want to be part of the world they're in. They want to, get to know the community, help grow the community. And, with metal recycling, it's sort of a twofold thing. You can also clean up the environment, clean up the area that you live in. You can generate some money for the community, for yourself, for everyone involved. And of course, we invest back into the community we're in. Whenever we're operating in an area, we try to always use local vendors for all of our fuel, fluids, trucking. We do a lot of third-party work. We work with a lot of local companies. And then for the fundraising, as much as we can at every yard, we try to give back. So we do a lot of volunteer work at all of our yards. The company has paid volunteer days for all the staff. So, you can volunteer at the local food bank or an event somewhere, and the company pays for it. So
that's pretty incredible. Yeah. You guys really work hard to make time for all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We do.
Well, let's talk about this specific fundraising drive that's going on, the Summer Scrap Drive, I think it's called. Yeah. Kelly, I guess this is kind of question for both of you. Who approached who with, hey, I mean, we'd love to have this be a fundraiser that supports the hospital foundation? Because you don't necessarily immediately think hospital foundation, scrap metal fundraiser. It's sort of an interesting marriage of ideas here. So tell me a bit about how this idea came about and when you started doing it.
Well, so it started in Campbell River with our yard there. So I used to work at the Campbell River yard, and for years they've done a drive in Campbell River for scrap, and with the Campbell River Hospital Foundation. So very similar to here. They get all the local companies involved, and they compete for a trophy. And then at the end of the day, they get to hand out a big check, and everybody's happy. So,
So is this something like when this yard opened or you took over, however it worked, you then approached the foundation and said, we'd like to continue this tradition here?
Yeah, I got up here 2 years ago to work in the yard here, and I think we met a year and a half ago or something to kind of talk about it.
Yeah.
And it took a bit of time to get it organized, and then this year we kicked it off. So
yeah, so this is the first year it's happening.
First annual, because we're going to do it every year.
I mean, I guess my question to you, Kelly, is sort of what I said earlier. You know, McLean comes to you and says, "Hey, I work at ABC Recycling. We recycle scrap metal. We'd like to do a scrap metal drive to help the foundation." I'm sure you're like, great, but you're also like, this is an interesting thing to be asked to do and be a part of.
Yeah, totally. But a lead up to that is companies had already been donating loads of scrap, and we had already been the beneficiary of checks.
No kidding. Okay.
Including Northern Health, when they need to clean out a building and dispose of old medical equipment, those recycling funds come back to the hospital foundation. So I was familiar with the program, not as a big fundraiser, and this was an exciting opportunity.
Yeah, and I should say, I believe your goal is $50,000, correct, McLean? So is there something you have kind of in mind for that money, Kelly, that you're hoping to raise this for, or is this kind of going into general fund, you know, Northern Health, the hospital? Peace Villa has kind of a lot of things they're hoping to get.
Yeah, well, this all came about very quickly, so there's no specific piece attached. The Hospital Foundation has pledged to purchase numerous pieces of equipment this year. We have a bone densometer on our list, an MRI body coil, the Maldi machine, which is for the laboratory testing of bacteria and yeast. So that's rapid identification, which will help people get treatment faster, as well as there's other pieces in the work right now. So when we have fundraisers like this, it allows us to look ahead at what's coming towards us for equipment the hospital needs, and we can anticipate those needs.
I don't suppose any of the scrap metal could be used to help build some of these machines.
No, probably not. It's a little rusty, most of it. So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, and you've already talked about this a bit, the competition side of it, which I really love. And you brought the trophy, which Steve has been holding this entire interview. Tell us a bit about that. Not making this just like, we're going to have fun and raise money, but also you're competing to be the top fundraiser as well. If you're listening on the radio, essentially what McLean is holding up here is a cowboy hat, a giant cowboy hat made out of scrap metal. What's it made out of?
So it's made out of aluminum. So one of our vendors, guys that does a lot of welding for us, Ben Bischoff, I approached him and said, we want to do this. Campbell River has a sink that they have as the trophy, and it's mounted on a pedestal. And so they have little plaques every year, right? And I said, I want something that's more Fort St. John. I said, I want a cowboy hat out of scrap metal. And he said, absolutely. And he welded it for us for free, donated his time and the metal. And you can wear it if you want. It's totally uncomfortable, but it looks really cool.
How much does it weigh?
Oh, probably weighs 15, 20 pounds. So, you know, it would be really safe. So, you know, it's not CSA approved, but it is metal. So,
is your plan to put the plaques on it kind of around the middle?
Yeah, so I've got a base for it that we made. This is a piece of dunnage that came into the yard, so we're recycling that too.
I see.
And then all the plaques are on the top. We'll, you know, engrave each one every year, and yeah.
Okay. And I mean, this is already underway, the fundraiser. So I wonder if you could do some commentary on how's it going. Is there somebody who's already in the lead that everyone needs to be gunning for if they want to win?
So we've got quite a few companies involved. Right now, I think Petronas is in the lead, and everybody else wants to win.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a lot of momentum to hit that number.
Okay.
So.
And how long is this drive lasting, by the way? When does it
goes
wrap
till
up?
September 12th.
Okay.
So 1 month.
Okay. So you've got some time left to get find the scrap metal and donate it, I suppose.
Exactly.
When can people bring by scrap metal? When are you guys open?
24 hours a day to drop it off. We're open 8 to 4:30, but we've got a donation bin in the front of the yard. So any metal that you have that you want to get rid of can get thrown into that bin anytime, and then we weigh it up, and all that goes to the hospital. So.
Steve is now trying on. Let's see. I'm going to put you on camera for a second, Steve. Steve is now wearing the giant cow. He has to hold it with.
I'm not much of a model. Yeah, this is.
All right, Kelly. You didn't talk much. That's my fault. But I wanted to give you one last a minute here to say something about this. To encourage everybody to get involved if you'd like.
Yeah, we're grateful to all the corporations that are participating, and there's actually a community scrap drive happening on September 14th down at the North Peace Arena. So this will be another opportunity for the whole community, you cleaning out your individual yard, whether that's your old washing machine, lawnmower, bikes. Come on down. ABC Recycling will be on location, coffee and donuts, and the Hospital Foundation team will be there as well.
Awesome. And for more info, I'm sure it's on the Hospital Foundation website. Or
yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Facebook and then our office too. If anybody has any questions, they can call the office. So yeah.
I love this so much. It's such a unique way to raise money, and I can't wait to find out who wins and gets to wear the giant aluminum cowboy hat. McLean, thank you for being here. Nice to meet you.
Thanks for having us.
Kelly, always nice to have you here as well. Thanks for doing this. I was McLean Welsh and Kelly Amboe here to talk about ABC Recycling's Summer Scrap Drive. And thanks again to Bruce Ralston for joining us earlier on the show, and thank you for tuning in.
You can listen to this show again by checking out the podcast at Energeticcity.ca/podcasts. We'll store this and future episodes of the show there as we make them. Also, check out our other locally produced podcasts, Before the Peace and Secrets of the North as well. That's our show. I'm Steve Berard.
And I'm Dub Craig. Be well.
Join us again next Friday morning at 10 for another edition of This Week in the Peace, your weekly talk show dedicated to the people, events, and news of BC's Peace Region. Or you can listen to this podcast again at Energeticcity.ca.
Free ice cream?